You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Off location, back in our palatial studio estate. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours. Matt, Indy in the books, Combine in the books. It was a fun week last week.
Yeah, feels good to be home, but it's kind of freezing today all of a sudden. It was so nice when I came home. It was warm, and now it's like, man, it's freezing again. I had a blast in Indy, though, too. I mean, even more so enjoyed the guests, the content, the chats with you guys than maybe any year I can remember. I thought we pumped out a lot of good stuff and found a lot of good people and really good conversations too.
I concur. Every year we have some fun. We get some fun guests. It's just a different kind of change of pace from what we typically do.
I'd like to go outside and grab Dane Brugler and be like, "Hey, you want to join us?"
You want to come join us? We did, right? You want to come join us for a segment?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, you're right. I tried in my notes here jotting them all down, and I'm sure I forgot some. But Q Myers, Dane Brugler, Kyle Krabs, Travis May, Matt Harmon, Matt Taylor, Chris Hallett, Chris Carter, both local guys. Brian McFadden, Greg Cosell, Nate Tice.
Greg Cosell twice. Yeah.
Thor Nystrom, Fran Dunphy, Trevor Sikkema, Alan Saunders, Jeff Legwald.
Wow. I can't think of any you missed.
But there might have been
that's
a huge list. And
that might be double our average.
From national people, there's a Colts person in there. There's a Broncos person in there. There's a Vikings person in there.
Raiders,
Raiders,
right.
Yeah, with
defense coordinator, right.
with Q. So I mean, it was again. We normally get some great guests, but it felt like last week was even more so than usual.
Yeah, I urge them. All that stuff's very organic too. Go
John Ledger.
Oh yeah,
formerly of this parish.
There's another good one. Yep. I urge everyone to go back and check it out if you haven't. TV did a great job with a lot of the video as well. And we also had Pursuta there for his first time, Rob there for his second time. That was fun. But all those interviews hold up in a big way.
If you were confused in your Drive Combine feed because
was it a little wonky?
Well, I think what happened was all if I'm correct here, I believe all the shows that we did were uploaded into our Drive podcast feed.
Oh, okay.
So all of a sudden, people were getting like
our numbers are going to be up.
Our numbers are going to be up. People are getting like 8 hours, and some of it is you and I, but a lot of it is other people too. But it's all in there if you want to go back and look. It's all on YouTube.
Like officially, the last 3 hours were the Drive.
Yes,
but.
But
we were
that's
both on most, right? We were both on a lot.
So only 3 of the 8 hours were officially the Drive, but everything is in there. All those great guests, all that great conversation, a lot of national stuff, a lot of Steelers stuff, a lot of just different. Where are the Colts going with their quarterback situation, and what do you think about this in Denver and those different things? So it was a great week. Happy to be home though, and now Matt.
You had a little birthday over the weekend too.
Happy
Happy 35th. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I am now 35 years young. As we had a nice little Saturday down in Morgantown. Basketball team got a ranked win, which is always nice.
Nice.
So I am wasn't the from a.
I told you my daughter's touring there a week from today too. So maybe I'll be wearing WU gear. You never know.
I'd love to get you down there for a tailgate in the fall. I think you'd enjoy yourself just a little bit.
I wouldn't mind if she stayed pretty close. So I use that as a selling point. I'm like, I bet I can get you some cool tailgates if you go to WU.
Just a few. You might know some people that know some people.
Yeah.
And yeah, like all day Saturday in the morning, I was like, this was not the best idea. You just
want to be home. Yeah.
I've been sleeping in a hotel in Indianapolis for a week, and now I'm going back down to Morgantown and sleeping in a hotel again. But the sun was shining; it was awesome. Bunch of my buds and our wives and everything. We had a great time.
Friday takes a lot out of you at the Combine because the last day, and you just go straight radio, jump straight in the car, straight home.
We do like 5 hours of radio, and then it's about 5-6 hours to drive back. And we got to drop equipment here and then get home and all that stuff. So it's a wild week. This week will be a little bit slower, and then it'll be a wild one again next week because free agency.
Next week's the wildest week of the year.
Next week,
it is
particularly Wednesday is always
Monday
a crazy.
will be nuts
because that's the
legal. They don't call it that anymore.
No, they call it the negotiating window. I think is what they call it now, if I'm remembering correctly. But yes, it'll all start happening here pretty quickly.
Yeah. Next week will be nuts. I would think this week's a lot of combine recovery and what did we learn there, a lot of different position groups and all that good stuff. But we got to start talking about free agents to be. The league started today. Well, not even started today, but there were a couple of little trades. Not even little trades, but there's going to be a lot of cuts and restructures.
Procedural stuff
Yeah,
this week.
you're going to see a lot of headlines come across this whole week to prepare for the new league year.
And we will actually, you know what? And hour number 2 will kind of kick that off with a news of the day segment.
Yeah.
Because
there's always going to be a little bit.
There have been some trades and some tinkering here already in the last day or so. But I think you're right. I think we should start with combine stuff, thoughts, winners, losers, all that stuff we can get into. But Matt, just big 30,000-foot view. What's at the forefront of your mind? What's something, your biggest combine takeaway, I guess? Maybe something that you thought about differently, something that you realized, something that you might have felt certain on heading into this process that now you feel differently. Is there something at the forefront of your mind when I say your biggest takeaway from last week?
I'm going to say a couple things. So, and I'll probably come up with more and more. So I know you asked for one. But Steelers related, and nobody told me anything. I am not prodding and trying to get information. I really feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback. I feel like Jalen Ramsey is probably going to be your slot, not safety. I don't think Ramsey or Queen are going to be cap casualties, but I do think like Calvin Anderson, I guess that came out recently, is likely to go. Johnny Smith, Harrison, I think that opens like $16 million between the three of them. All makes perfect sense. But all in all, not a lot of Steelers stuff that came out last week that was like, ooh. I mean, other teams, there was more stuff out there. But I definitely think they'll be very much in the wide receiver market. My biggest, workout takeaway, though, is I think a lot of people realize the numbers, especially the 40s, were really fast. If you look at every position group, a lot of them set records. However,
a year after a lot of them set records last year, too.
And I do think that's a fast track. People need to realize that you can scoot on that Indy surface. However, if you look, less and less guys did drills, and of 317, don't quote me, guys that actually did any drill while we're there, only 2 players did every drill.
Wow.
I mean, isn't that nuts? It's no one's doing 3 cones anymore, and
It's very weird to me. So I'm glad you said this, because when I think of combine takeaways, I immediately go to things like personnel stuff and position groups being stronger or weaker than we thought.
Yeah.
But that's a really good one. You and I joke a lot about how football, sports in general, they're cyclical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Line up in the power eye and beat the crap out of people, and then spread it out and make everybody get lighter, and then get heavier again, and then we see that with offenses and defenses and
coverages and blitzes and under center versus shotgun and all kinds of stuff, right?
And I think now that we are about 20-ish years into everybody really taking this combine seriously.
Yeah, and it's on NFL Network and all that
in
stuff.
prime time.
Yeah.
It's a made-for-TV event now. I think there's some cyclical nature happening with the combine, whereas it started as purely a medical thing.
Yeah.
Let's get these guys together. Let's get consistent medical evaluations. It is the most thorough medical evaluation these guys will ever have in their lives.
Oh, yeah. They find out things they never knew were wrong.
We see it every year. Someone has a heart problem they didn't know about. Right. Someone has a piece of their ACL missing that they didn't know about. That's how it started. And then it was like, well, we might as well interview these guys. We might as well have them throw. We might as well have them
They're
run.
Here. Let's do something. Right.
We might as well have them jump.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of media coming out here. We might as well have them do media stuff.
Let's put it on TV.
Let's now, instead of doing it at 10:30 in the morning, and let's put it in prime time and make it a made-for-TV event.
You may not have caught this, but just the first time we sat down with Greg Cosell, you weren't with us and you were mad at me. But I had to grab him. I didn't know I was going to get him twice.
I was like, Matt, how are you going to get him outside of the drive? Come on,
Greg now basically just watches tape, and he does the matchup show. But back then, he was in charge of the first combine ever aired. And he was telling the story, because he works for NFL Films.
Sure.
And he's like, yeah, but we couldn't let anyone know the times. The NFL didn't want any of the times getting out or any of that stuff, too. That was secret stuff. You can put it on, but don't tell them how fast they ran. So he's like, it was the hardest job ever.
Wow.
That wasn't that long ago.
That's like us doing shows at OTAs and minicamp, and we're not allowed to talk about what's happening on the field in front of us.
Makes me a little crazy, too.
So it went from this purely medical thing to like, all right, let's get interviews involved in this too. We're all here to let's have them throw, let's have them run, let's have them jump, let's have them do media stuff. I think now it's going the opposite way again.
Yeah.
Now, I was laughing about this with my dad. Are all the Steelers scouts and everything, do they really need to be in Lucas Oil while this is all going on?
No.
You're going to get everyone's getting all the
Rams don't even show up anymore.
The Rams don't even show up anymore, and I don't know if people have noticed, but they're pretty stinking good.
Yeah. Like all this is on video, not just on NFL Network.
All this is on video. All the numbers are everywhere, the measurements, the heights, all that stuff. Like I was saying, my dad was asking me, like, what are the scouts really doing and this and this? I was like, honestly, medical and interviews.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get medical and first dates. The scouts don't need to be sitting there at the 40-yard line anymore running stopwatches and using binoculars. It's all so advanced and it's all so documented. It's almost like the cyclical nature. Players aren't doing as much anymore. It's like it's gone back to being more about medical and interviews. Obviously, the on-field testing stuff still matters. But everybody can access that information from anywhere.
From anywhere. You don't have to be there at all.
Right.
Couple notes on that. And I listened to Dane's first Building of the Beast since the Combine. And I never knew this, and I still question it because it makes no sense to me. He's like, the consensus 40 time. You know how the official 40 time that you go to NFL.com now and they're all official. He says, that's for media. That's for fans. Every team still trusts their handheld more. Jeez. I'm like, are you serious? Like the guy on the 15th row with his handheld.
Bang, bang.
Yeah. I'm like, why not? I don't know. Maybe it's 1/10 off anyway, but still, there's human error there. Why would you do that? I don't know. I had a hard time believing it. But anyways, as we mentioned, every position group ran faster than they ever have. Boy, this is the fastest running back class ever. Yes, but none of the slow guys ran.
Because they're all going to cut weight before their pro day and then run there.
Yeah, but it's a fast track. You would think you'd want to run there. But no one, boy, this is the best group of shuttle times we've ever seen. Well, everyone's bad shuttles didn't do them. Not that long ago, people were like, I hate shuttle, I stink at it, but I still have to do it. Everyone just did every drill.
Do it.
Right.
That wasn't that long ago. That was
that was
like up until COVID.
Yeah, right. 5-10 years ago. Right.
Yeah. And so that's funny. I was talking about that with my dad on Saturday or yesterday. Like it's weird because it's almost the Combine's almost going back to whence it started, where it's just like medical and first date interviews, and so many guys are skipping so much of the on-field stuff, and
because everything gets videoed that's not even on NFL Network. I mean, every vertical, and those guys have access to a database of video, probably all 22 that NFL video people or video everything they do. You really, if you just want to watch the drills, watch the drills. Do you really need to be in the building?
Not really.
Probably
in
not.
2026.
Right. Probably not. Right.
I mean, the interview stuff obviously matters.
Oh, yeah.
But
you're going to get all the medical anyways.
In terms
Going matters to me, but I don't think you have to be in the building to watch them watch their fort.
And I don't think it has to be like years past where you're there for 8 days.
Right.
You go for a couple days, you meet with the people you want to meet with, and then everything else is all collected.
Go home and get in front of your video. Right.
Yeah, so it's a little bizarre in that regard for me, but that was something that I was talking about over the weekend of like, man, this feels like it's the cyclical nature of this. Less and less guys every year are doing on-field stuff, and the ones that are, it's in the hand-chosen events that them and their agent are like, oh yeah, I'm not doing bench. We're gonna be good here.
I'm not doing shuttle. Like 2 guys out of well over 300 did every event, and there's not that many.
Because if you're
testing,
if you're someone who's trying to put on weight for your measurements,
right? That's the old trick in the book.
If you're someone who's trying to put on weight for your measurements, you're not going to run. If you're someone who's trying to cut weight for your measurements and in your weigh-ins, you're not going to lift. It just, and it's become a real science. These guys, the second that they're, especially now, Matt, because at least in the past, the majority of these guys would still play in bowl games. They'd have an extra 5-6 weeks of their college season while they're getting ready for a bowl game. Now, unless you play for Ohio State or Miami or one of the playoff teams,
I would say some of the Indiana guys didn't do anything just because they didn't have enough time to train.
Sure, and that makes sense. Like that was Will Howard last year.
Yeah.
He was playing games 3 weeks before the Combine. He's still trying to recover and work out the bumps and bruises from the regular season.
I forget who we asked, but it was early in the week. We asked about Will Howard, his Combine, and they said, and I remember this at the time, it was really bad. His throwing session was one of the worst of the quarterbacks, but he had just played recently, and he took a lot of hits and he didn't train for it. And like, what are we judging him off here? And then last note I want to mention too is, yes, 40s are fine. I mean, they're still valuable. But every one of those teams had all the GPS stuff before they even got there. Yep. Like, who's running fast on a football field? They knew that stuff before they even hit a stopwatch, you know?
Last year, Shedeur Sanders, his season at Colorado would have ended around Thanksgiving. Like that end of November time frame.
Okay.
Didn't play in the Big 12 championship game, didn't play in a bowl game.
Yeah, just kind of a typical.
They had a 9-3 year. Like they weren't going to the playoff. They weren't. So that's what everybody does now. Like if I'm not going to the playoff, I'm not everybody, but the
I don't want to get hurt going
the vast
into my
majority of these guys.
Combine stuff.
The vast majority of these guys do not play in their bowl games anymore unless they're going to the playoff. So think about that. Basically, the first week in December, Shedeur Sanders is focused on the combine.
Yeah. Draft prep.
Whereas Will Howard's playing games till the end of January. That's eight extra weeks and that's just one example, but this happens at every position all across the board.
Of course.
That's 8 extra weeks that these guys have
double the season
to get ready for their 40, to get ready for their vertical, to get ready for their bench, to get ready for their 3-cone, to work out in practice for the combine, to train for the combine.
I didn't realize it was that drastic.
Yeah, I mean
that's true.
I think Ohio State.
You might have a bye in there once in a while.
Right.
But still, that's all the wear and tear on your body, and you're not practicing what you're about to get judged on.
If you don't play in your bowl game, you don't play in a conference championship game, your season is over basically at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
As opposed to Will Howard, who played, I think, January 20th was Ohio State's national championship game against. I mean, that's 7-8 weeks difference.
That's nuts. And I know nothing about track, but I do know that your start is the most important thing. And Will Howard may have never put his hand, done a track start. You know what I mean? Like that takes a lot of time. That's why these great track athletes are so good at what they do. It's technique.
Training for the combine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that stuck out to me this year too, certainly. Let's take our first break here, Matt. I've got a couple more takeaways to run by you.
Sure.
When we return, we'll talk some winners, some losers, some position groups, all kind of combine specific here in the first hour as we are back in our studios. We've got Justin on the 1s and 2s. We've got TV on the video. Matt and I are very happy because we don't have to walk 20 minutes to get coffee and water like we do.
Yeah.
That's one thing that hasn't changed about the combine. Can we get some water and coffee that's not all the way across the conventions?
And the coffee was really bad. It was really bad.
Listen, I'm not one to complain about free coffee.
It was free coffee,
but it was really bad.
Else, right.
And it's a 7-minute walk one way to go get it. So it's about 15, 16 minutes round trip.
Just to fill up your cup.
Just to fill up your coffee cup or to get some water. So we're happy to be.
And Pursuta charted it out. It was like 0.9 miles from our hotel to our seat in Radio Row, which I've known is always a haul, but I'm like, I didn't think it would be close to a mile. And you do it like 6 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When my wife hears how we live in Indianapolis, going out to eat and drinking beers at nighttime, she's like, how do you not gain 10 pounds? I'm like, well, sweetheart, I'm walking 15,000, 20,000 steps every single day. Plenty more from Indianapolis. Between the white lines, what we saw with the players, the results, the takeaways, and maybe some fun stories and anecdotes, too, as we continue to roll along. Just getting started here on this Monday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Back on The Drive here as we are. Well, it's a new month. It's a new week. We're back in studio. It all happens very quickly this time of year. You always think it's going to slow down, but it's like hit after it.
This year more than ever. It must be because of the coaching change.
It's the coaching change stuff, I think, for sure.
You can at least usually decompress for that month or so, or a week or so.
And draft coming here next month, which I think
revs things up a little bit too.
Adds a little extra that.
Did college season go later than usual too?
About the same.
Okay. That doesn't change. Okay.
About the same, yeah, which now is kind of like into late January, which is still wild. Like the college football season, New Year's Day used to be like the finale.
The day, right. Rose Bowl.
Now it's like till the end of January, although I do think that's something that they're trying to fix. But once again, not very many easy fixes with a lot of what's going on in college football right now. But that's a different conversation for a different day. We are kind of downloading all of our combine thoughts and takeaways here in the first hour. Matt, I liked where you started. I feel more confident that it will be Aaron Rodgers as the Steelers quarterback, and I think that decision will come sometime here in the month of March.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be OTAs we find out or any of that kind of stuff. Right?
I would be surprised if we got to April and there was still uncertainty around Aaron Rodgers.
Agreed.
I agree with what you said about Jalen Ramsey. I think they want to use him in the role that they pictured when they brought him in here last year, which is kind of that nickel, slot, big nickel type guy. And credit to him. I mean, it was not always pretty last year, but man, his versatility, inside, outside safety, he was everywhere, center field, in the box, played a ton of snaps all over the place. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I did a podcast about this Saturday because I didn't learn this till 2 days ago or whatever, but Pro Football Focus put out the 5 most versatile defenders in the league last year.
I bet
Ramsey was number 1.
Just based off of their alignment? That would not surprise me.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 different spots where he had 100-plus snaps, which totally adds up.
And so I'm not saying that he completely lived up to expectations last year, but I think when you recalibrate based off of they didn't use him the way that we thought they were going to last year.
Asked to do a lot of stuff.
He was asked
more than any defensive player in the league.
With a new team, new coordinator, new system, all that stuff. I think that they're hoping he will stabilize in a specific role this year. And so I'm with you on those things. Patrick Queen, too. I'd be surprised at this point.
If you caught Nate Tights said this, too, which I thought was well said. And it's something we've brought up, too, and probably all the Steeler fans listening know. But he's like, say what you want about Ramsey at free, he really stabilized things. Like he thought that was a line of demarcation in the defense of when he was a full-time safety versus beforehand, just in terms of communication and fewer errors and things like that. And that's something we talked about during the course of the year. Like, yeah, the safety situation's a lot firmer than it was. That doesn't mean you should keep him there or not, but I'm just praising Ramsey a little bit more.
Here's a Combine-specific takeaway that I have for you. We drove to Indianapolis Monday morning. Little over a week ago from today. I was ardent. I was very convinced the Steelers are going to take a wide receiver at 21.
Yes.
Mike McCarthy is going to move this offense into the 21st century.
Sure.
It's going to be
a lot of 3 wide.
It's going to be way more 3 wide and way less 12 and 13 personnel. You only have 3 wide receivers on the roster right now, and one of them is unproven Roman Wilson, and the other guy is a Pro Bowl special teamer who belongs on your roster but tells everybody, don't call me a wide receiver, call me a football player.
So you got Metcalf and really nothing else that you can count on.
And with all that, it's a deep wide receiver class, one that doesn't necessarily have the blue chip nailed on top 5 pick.
The Steelers weren't getting that guy anyway.
But the Steelers weren't getting that guy anyways, and there's a lot to like in this class besides that, Jamar Chase type, Neighbors type, walking right into your lineup. I'm like, it's going to be wide receiver at 21.
Yeah.
The real question is what they do in the second round,
Yeah.
Whereas now, I still, if we're in Las Vegas or we're down at the Rivers Casino and this is a roulette table, I'm still putting my chip on wide receiver for the first round. But
it doesn't pay as well as it did.
It doesn't, or maybe it pays better. Maybe it pays better now. Yeah, I'm not as convinced. I still would probably say that's the most likely scenario. But I think defensive line's a real possibility. I think secondary, particularly safety, is a real possibility.
I think Thielman's a real possibility.
And I think offensive line is even an outside possibility.
I do too. I think there's a lot of options there. I'm still very sold, and again, no one told me this, that there will be a substantial veteran added before the draft, whether that's next week or when Ayuk gets cut or
you trade for somebody
or whatever it is. Brian Thomas, I don't know. But I think they will add somebody soon that you've all heard of and been on your fantasy teams, and that's a good start. Plus, just watching the combine, there's more guys I like. Yeah, I mean, on day 2, at receiver too. Like, if you don't go round 1 and you go into the draft with Metcalf and Dobbs or Metcalf and Ayuk or something like that, I can wait to the second round. I don't know that I'm going to wait till the third, but I've said this all offseason. I think they need to add 3 receivers. And one of them's probably like a 5th round pick. And 2 of them need to be investments. Round 1, round 2, and a name we know.
Yes. And then maybe even bring in a 5th round guy, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As the third guy can be my 5th round speed dude that needs work, that's a returner or
2
whatever.
2 picks in the 4th round.
Yeah.
2 picks in the 6th round.
I mean, you could even go 2nd and 3rd round in this class, but there's a lot of them. And a lot of guys showed well at the Combine. some of the smaller school guys that we didn't know as well, Lance and the dude at Cincinnati, et cetera, that had really good weeks.
So that was a big one for me. Thinking wide receiver, and I still think that's a great possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's going to be some defensive linemen they'll be interested in.
Yeah.
I don't think Caleb Banks, big boy out of Florida, is going to be available after what he just did this past week.
I don't love doing mock drafts. No offense, I did one Steelers.com, and I don't mind them.
You and I will probably do one this week,
but I'm kind of looking forward to the next one because I keep saying, well, Banks isn't going to be available. This guy's not going to be available. All these tackles are better than. I had a good conversation today on my podcast. Like Freeling's not going to be there.
No,
like all these guys that were mocked later than 21,
like Banks and Freeling.
Yeah, I'm like, it's easy to say they're not going to be there. But only 20 guys are getting picked before 21.
Yes.
It starts to be a math issue.
Yes, and maybe maybe in a way that's good for the Steelers.
That's kind of where I'm going with this.
More wide receiver options, more safety, defensive back options.
I'd be thrilled with any of these 5 guys, and 3 of them are there.
Right.
That's
the ideal scenario.
Maybe it's Arizona State receiver because he hasn't worked out
Jordan
yet.
Tyson.
Yeah, right. Never had thought he had any chance at that guy a month ago.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot of the defensive tackles and offensive linemen that we thought were going to go after the Steelers, like in picks 22 to 32. Bottom of the first round, especially the tackles. I think they did.
Lemu, Freeling, Ianchonor. I killed his name, but I always do. All those dudes.
Caden Proctor out of Alabama.
Yeah, he had a good showing too.
Yeah,
tackles go early. And I
think I still don't know how many defensive linemen, but I think Caleb
Banks is
certainly,
the one. Yeah.
And so some of that is good for the Steelers, some of that is bad for the Steelers. But it's certainly there's always movement. There's always movement in this past week, and I also
Lemon and Tate didn't blow it up. Tyson didn't do anything. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. One of those 3 is there. Well, they might be.
They certainly could be. I'd be shocked if there weren't at least 2 wide receivers off the board by the time the Steelers picked. But maybe it's Boston instead of one of those 3. Maybe there's still some change to be had there.
Yeah. Concepcion could be gone by then, right?
Absolutely. I also too, man, pick number 2 feels wide open for me. I still feel like it's Arvell Reese.
I lean that way pretty strong.
But man, okay, so I pulled this for you, and he's
because of the trade is why I lean that way.
Yeah,
they traded an edge guy for a nose.
They traded an edge guy for a nose. That's a very good point.
But they could take Bailey.
Bailey and Reuben Bain are both the other 2. When we have these type of conversations, I like to just look at the odds.
I was about to ask, did you check the odds? Yeah.
Arvell Reese -120. So he's a favorite, but not a massive favorite.
Yeah.
David Bailey +135, so not too far off. Reuben Bain Jr. +600, and then everybody else is into the thousands.
Okay.
Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Ty Simpson, Caden McDonald, Kenyon Sadiq.
Bain's arm thing can't help him, though.
No.
Some teams are, but they play basically at 3-4, and he's going to be kind of a stand-up guy, so it might matter a little less.
Yeah, but I'm very interested to see what happens with the Jets there too, because it feels like there's so much certainty around pick number 1, and then after that, I certainly would lean towards Arvell Reese, but I think there's still so much time between now and then. And I don't know. Are you concerned about his size at all? Just like mass of Arvell Reese to play that position?
A little bit.
He can get an NFL body.
But he's also extremely young.
Yeah.
And I think he's a safety turned linebacker turned edge, basically. And I get the impression with his length, and I know it sounds weird, but when they walk across the stage in just their underwear, that's kind of what you're looking at, his body composition and bone mass. And they go in like the bod pod during the medical stuff, just to see his density and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So I do think he can add 10. He's only like 20 years old. Almost everybody does. Is going to add a little bit of bulk and just grown man weight.
Yes.
You aside.
I lost weight, baby. I used to be a balmy 190.
I make this mistake every year because after the combine, you get excited. All these guys are going up. No one's going back. Look, all these tackles are going to go high, blah, blah, blah. And that is mostly true. But I think Sonny Styles and Love might be 2 of the best 3 players in the draft. I'm like, I can't see them falling far. Like, if you told me that the Jets took Styles, I'd be like, I get it. Right. Or if Tennessee's like, we're just going to take Julian Love and put him next to Ward. Like, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, right. He's awesome.
Some of those guys, some of those running backs and linebackers, their testing stuff was just off the charts impressive. And you know what? Let's take a break here.
I love the safety testing because I think that's going to be really prominent for the Steelers, too. They really only have one safety under contract, too. It's kind of like the wide receiver position.
Let's go there when we return. Let's take a break here now so we can give that plenty of conversation because I know you came away from the Combine impressed by the safeties.
Yeah.
I think we
like
really
a couple on free agency, too.
Really like Dylan Theneman out of Oregon.
Not going to make it to 21. Only 20 guys are getting picked before 21, right?
Yeah, and spoiler alert, there's going to be plenty of offensive tackles and edge rushers that are taken in those top 20 as always. So let's take our last break here the first hour, talk some safeties, talk some more of these standouts, maybe even some people who might have hurt their stock a little bit this past week in Indianapolis to kind of put a bow on the Combine takeaways hour here on this Monday on the Drive. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson rolling along here and some Combine conversation. It's the Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back from Indianapolis, downloading our thoughts, our takeaways from the 2026 Scouting Combine. Big thanks to everybody out there in Indy for having us as always. It's our spiritual home for the end of February.
It's a great week every year, and this was as good as ever.
Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts. We were calling him the mayor of Radio Row.
That was everybody, right?
Kind enough to have us every single year. He's a great dude. We also, Matt, after a year of being passed over.
We got the shrimp. Yeah.
Being put in the corner. Nobody puts Steelers Nation Radio and the Steelers Audio Network in the corner. We got our shrimp on Radio Row. It was fantastic.
Part of the reason we got so many good guests is because where we were located. Somebody would walk by and we're like, "Hey, hop on."
We
were in the way depths of before. Right? That was rough.
We had a pretty awesome location this year. We got our St. Elmo shrimp cocktail that we did not get last year. Big shout out to TV actually, knowing my luck. So I went to go to.
I'm going to take credit for that. I reached over to him. I'm like, get one for Wes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
probably
it.
Even on camera. Yeah,
both of you.
Yeah. He would have anyways, I'm sure.
I'm sure he would. Yeah. Because of course I have like an hour break and I'm like, I'm gonna go grab some lunch and use the bathroom and everything. And TV texts me and he's like, "You just missed the shrimp." And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me."
That's your one shot.
I was like, I only leave of the 9 hours that we're on Radio Row. I only leave for like an hour every day, and that's when they bring the shrimp. And then he's like, sends me a picture. He's like, "But I got you one. Don't worry."
I think that was Rob's first time he ever had it.
Did he have smoke?
Right.
Smoke coming out.
I
of his
didn't
ears?
quite warn him. I'm like, you got to eat the whole thing at once. Yeah. And he's like, "Woo," as everybody does, right?
I used to tell you and Dale this, but you can buy the St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail sauce.
I have it in the fridge, but it just doesn't seem the same to me.
I would say
it's good. Like I put it out at Christmas, and I don't tell people.
It's and then you watch your party guests like, woo.
Yep.
It's like Guinness in Dublin.
Right. Maybe part of it's just in my head.
But you can find, if Guinness in Dublin is a 10 out of 10, you can find 9 out of 10 Guinness around here.
Yeah.
So the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce that you can get at grocery stores around here, you can order it online.
I got it on Amazon. Yeah.
It's like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, right.
It's still really
good. Yeah.
Like I would tell you and Dale this in the past when I would have those times like during the winter allergy season where your sinuses are acting up. Sometimes I would just like eat like 2 spoonfuls of that and it would clear me out in like 15 minutes. So it was great.
Been cooped up too much, yeah.
Yeah, great to get back to Indy. We had an awesome week. We got some shrimp cocktail out of it. We had some really good meals, some really good dinners, some good times. Pursuta and I went to a basketball game.
Yeah, Michigan State won. He was all psyched.
He sure was. Pursuta realized that Michigan State was playing Purdue, which was not too far away from where we were, and so he went and got tickets, and him and I went, and it was a good time. It was a good week. And Matt, I think one of the biggest takeaways, we're continuing to just share thoughts and observations and everything we learned last week. I think that this safety class is exceptional.
Yeah,
I think those top three guys, we mentioned Dylan Theneman in the previous segment. Everybody knows Caleb Downs, or at least you better by this point. And then the third being McNeil Warren out of Toledo. I think those three are going in the first round.
I do too.
And there could be potential for one of them to be a Steeler at pick 21.
I've got nothing against McNeil Warren at all, although Ledyard made a really crazy observation that I went back and looked at. I want to say about that in a minute. I just greatly prefer Theoman for the Steelers because Elliott's more strong and
he's more free.
Yeah,
McNeil Warren's more strong.
Yeah,
he can kind of do both.
He's a little more redundant than I would like, and I don't know. And teams are getting away from free, strong. I mean, this is not Donnie Shell and Mike Wagner. I mean, like times have changed a lot, and a lot of the teams want interchangeable. But I don't think you want another strong-ish guy, especially if you're using a first-round pick. I mean, if it's your fourth-round pick, too, great. But anyway, Ledyard brought this up, and I went back and just watched a bunch of his highlights, just like, is John crazy? But McNeil Warren has this crazy infatuation, I'll say, with playing with his gear, like, up into and even through the snap. He's like fixing his helmet. It's like OCD stuff. Once you see it, you can't stop.
You can't stop. Yeah, you can't look away.
And John mentioned this. He's like, there's a play where he's fixing his helmet deep into the snap and takes on a block with one arm instead of two because he's fiddling with his helmet.
That's not going to work at the NFL level.
I can't tell me Toledo can't find a helmet that fits him. I mean, I think it's him, not them.
Yeah.
Like he's
like
always
an OCD.
I think he's just jittery and it's like a nervous tick type thing.
It's like me doing a show, just moving around the whole time and shaking and bobbing hands, and it happens.
I did this podcast. I mentioned I did kind of a safety podcast over the weekend because I was really impressed with the class. It's really deep. They all ran and tested very, very well, even outside those top three. And there's some free agents I'd be interested. But the Steelers' safety situation's more like the receiver one than you think. I mean, if we don't count Ramsey as a safety, and I understand he has the possibility to always go back there in mid-season.
Sure. Elliott, right?
You have Elliott and Castro are the only two under.
Wow.
Duggar's up. Killebreau's up even.
Killebreau
you don't
is
even
up.
have the Killebreau Skoranek, parallel. You really have one safety on your team. You want at least 5 going into camp, even if you only keep 4. You're going to take safety. You probably might draft 2 safeties and sign one. And I wouldn't mind bringing Duggar back or Peppers or Clark.
One of those guys.
One of those to be the backup strong. But it's a huge need as the roster is currently constructed. Like, that could be their first free agent signing. Could be, Cook from I always get their names too crossed up. The Colts have one and the Chiefs have a guy. Both coming off free agent or first rookie deal.
26, 27.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant's a name that Rob brought up 100 times too. Like there's 3 or 4 safeties of interest that are young that would fit the bill that are more free-ish. They could do that early in free agency.
Maybe
they have none.
Maybe that's something we can talk about in more detail tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's one. Listen, the Steelers are going to need bodies in the secondary, not just at safety, but at corner as well.
No doubt, right. Pierre and Samuel aren't on this team right now.
There's a lot of those, as you just described, second contract guys who aren't going to break the bank. You're not going to get them for free, but they're not going to break the bank. There are a lot of safeties and corners coming up here in just a week.
There are.
That are 26, 27, 28 years old and would be ideal fits to that need. And so that's a good place.
I'm kind of done with the 30 and over.
That's the same.
Defensive back.
It's a good place. It's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Especially if you're keeping Jalen Ramsey. I'm good with the 30 and over. You've got your veteran. You've got your experienced guy. Joey Porter Jr. is right on the rise, right in the middle of that trajectory where you want him to be.
Yeah.
That's a good blend.
The only thing I don't love about Pierre is he's about to be 30.
Yeah. Dylan Theneman may have helped himself as much as anyone this week. 4th amongst safeties in the 40, 4.35. 2nd in the vertical, 41 inches. A 10-foot, 5-inch broad jump. All body skill, ball skills and body control were outstanding during the gauntlet drills. He's
a really good player.
He's a really good player, and he's I'm warming up to that as a possibility at 21.
Me too. And he transferred from Purdue to Oregon. If you go look at his Purdue stuff, he's almost always single high. That's just the defense they played. He's deep middle guy, and he is totally in control of that defense. I mean, just in terms of aligning everybody, total quarterback out there. Oregon, they asked him to do more stuff, but he made a bazillion plays too. I think he's a really good player.
I do too. A couple of these other safeties, Matt, that had
there's a lot of
good weeks.
Yes. The LSU dude I'm really intrigued with too.
LSU guy. What about Arizona's Traden Stukes?
Don't know a ton about him yet.
4.33 40.
Yeah.
Woo.
A couple of them look like really fast special team mid-round guys, including
Lorenzo Styles.
Including Styles.
Sonny's brother.
He's a receiver turned defensive back. Some thought he might be a corner. Some thought he might be a safety. Obviously crazy fast, but he's also very straight line-ish and not real experienced there. Like a couple of these safeties that tested crazy look like a gunner for a year while they learn, and maybe they never get there, maybe they don't. But there's a lot on day 2 as well that also had really good combines. The South Carolina dude, I forget the LSU's guy's name off the top of my head, but he's almost 220 pounds. That's a pure free. You just don't see that very often.
And can move. AJ Halsey?
Halsey, yeah.
I mean, what did he run, like a 4.5, and he's a 4.52.
And he's big.
And he's
like
massive.
212, something like that. 6'2", something like that.
A few years ago, that would have been a great time for a safety, period.
It would have been the best.
That would have been
Right. It would have been the best. I mean, there's a lot. It was always half of them were like 4.62s. Now I think there was one guy that even approached the 4.6. The whole safety group.
Oh, man.
It's a deep group.
It is. It really is.
And they need them worse than people think.
It's a good place to be because
yeah,
it's all about having options. They're going to, again, by the end of next week, a lot of this conversation will be much more clear. Because if the Steelers a week from now add a safety and a corner and a wide receiver, it's like
bring back Siamalu.
Or bring back Siamalu, or sign a veteran defensive lineman.
Yeah,
and then you're like, okay, they're not going to go there at 21.
Because they're going to do stuff. They got money.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they always do. And some of the moving and shaking, as Matt mentioned, has already started in the NFL. And we'll get to some of that when we return to kick off hour number 2.
It should be an active week with just moves throughout the league.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, when we get through next week, it'll still be speculation and hypothetical season because there'll still be trades, there'll still be more free agents out there, that kind of second and third wave, and you'll still have the draft. But that focus will narrow. That net will tighten.
There will be many hundreds of millions spent, and which money talks.
NFL agents love next week.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a good week to be an agent.
Sets up pretty well.
It's a good week to be an agent. I wanted to read what McShay wrote about the offensive tackles here this week, too. He said, everyone agrees that while none of these offensive tackles are considered elite, there will be a run on them early. The shelf drops off significantly after the first 7. Maui Goa, Fanu, Freeling, Blake Miller, Caleb Lomu, Caden Proctor, and Max Ianachor.
Okay.
My sources have indicated that there's similar talent at O-line this year as there was last year. Last year, 8 offensive tackles went in the top 58 picks. So that could be good and bad for the Steelers, depending on if there's one of these guys that they would love to take at 21, or if they're saying we're not dipping our toes in the tackle market in the first round. Maybe day 2 will take
a project or something, right?
Then maybe you want this run in the first round to happen early, and then it gives you more options at 21. But that's a real X factor to me. I think we knew there's always going to be a handful of edge rushers that go high. It's just such a need. If you can get some offensive,
which is good.
Which is great.
We want everyone to go.
If 19 edge rushers could go in the top 19 picks,
go.
Go.
Everyone's a win for the Steelers.
Go, and then we can take Mendoza there, and just stash him for a year. But yeah, that to me is, I really feel like, and Matt, that's one of those positions too. Everyone needs offensive tackles. They're gonna fall in love with these guys. Does someone end up falling to you at 21 that you're really interested to, or all these guys now? Or of those 7, are 5 of them going to go in the top 20?
So I kind of made this joke earlier today, too. Like about 2-3 weeks ago, starting to get a pretty good grasp of the draft. And I said several airwaves, it looks like playoff teams might be able to draft tackles without reaching like crazy.
Which never happens.
And deep in my mind, I'm like, It probably still won't. Because, I mean, just history shows those guys get driven up like crazy. But they all had a little bit of a question, and Freeling's getting mocked at like 28 and 29. But deep down, I was right. Like, they're going to go. Like, if you're, we'll talk about Houston. They traded 2 offensive linemen today, despite having a bad
We're going to talk
O-line.
about that when we come back here.
Or San Francisco might be looking for a Trent Williams replacement. They're not going to be there in the mid to late 20s because they never are.
Nope.
Maybe the 7th guy, but there's not going to be several to pick from.
Other than quarterback, it's maybe
I think it's the most
position that has the biggest kind of gap
tax
between supply and demand.
Yeah, it just gets taxed. Right.
It's like that fancy bourbon that you like to drink that you can't get here in Pennsylvania.
Rob King came through.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got me.
Get a bottle for $30 in the Midwest, but it costs you.
If you're near Kentucky, you get a pretty good deal on these things. Right?
What does it cost you around here? 100?
Double,
not quite that much.
Like
Double.
That, yeah, if you can even find it. Right. Yeah.
You'll laugh. Saturday. There's a massive liquor store in Morgantown, West Virginia. Imagine that.
Wow, can't believe that.
It's called Ashbrook.
I doubt anyone even frequents it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the parking's always ample there in that parking lot. I tell you, it's this. Massive liquor outlet in Morgantown. And my older cousin Jared was driving us back from the game, and I was like, "Can we swing by Ashbrook?" I was like, my buddies Matt and Rob that I work with, I might see if there's some. We're in West Virginia, like get some.
Yeah.
And he's like, brother, I hate to break it to you. He's like, they're not going to have that stuff here. It's like this is a college town liquor store. I was like,
they got a lot of bankers clubs.
I was like, it's a massive liquor store. We're bordering Kentucky, and I know it's a college town, but Morgantown is like the 3rd biggest city in West Virginia.
Yeah, right.
He was like, they ain't gonna have Buffalo Trace and all that stuff in there, I promise you. And I was like, all right, forget it. Let's just go to the restaurant there and let's just go to dinner. But I was looking out for you. I'll keep my eyes peeled when I'm in West Virginia. Hour in the books, another hour to go. News of the day. There's been some pretty couple big names released here so far today. And as Matt mentioned, a significant trade or two as well. We will go over all that and kick off hour number 2 when we return. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 of The Drive here on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, back in our palatial studio estate after a week on Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center. We got our steps in. We had some good food, some good time, some good conversation, and we learned plenty about this upcoming draft class in the process. Before we get back into some of that and free agency, and we've gotten a ton of tweets over the last week or so that we need to get into
catch
too.
Up on, yeah.
But first, Matt, news of the day, because there's been plenty of moving and shaking around the NFL today, and perhaps the biggest one, I think, a trade between the Lions and the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about, I think it was the week before we went to the Combine, so 2 weeks ago, how Houston feels like a team that really needs a running back, really needs C.J. Stroud to have a consistent run game, something he's never had to lean on.
No.
We talked about maybe like a guy like Kenneth Walker in free agency. Well,
Breece Hall or whatever.
Yeah. And I guess that's still not impossible. That's not completely off the table, but probably much more doubtful because the Houston Texans, Sonic and Knuckles, broken up in Detroit. The Lions sending running back David Montgomery to the Texans for a 4th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs.
I'm going to start with the Lions because I think the Texans are the bigger conversation. Montgomery asked for a trade. They're not going to give him money. Gibbs is a superstar. They're going to give him more and more touches, as they should. Nothing against you, David, but you're older. You got a lot of wear and tear in your body. We'll just draft a big back probably in the 5th or 6th round and get younger and cheaper there, and Gibbs is going to get featured. Cool. Okay.
Makes sense.
I think this is a pretty good haul for Montgomery, though. I mean, considering his age, 4th-round pick's really far from nothing. I mean, I thought he'd get a 5th straight-up type of deal. Scruggs hasn't been particularly good, and he's had a hard time staying on the field. But he was a day 2 pick, center/guard, which is a real area of issue for them just 2 years ago. So he's on a rookie deal, and he was recently a high pick at a position of need. It's gravy. I mean, but Hank Fraley's their O-line coach. I bet he's dialed in. I bet he liked him a lot coming out of Penn State. let me work with them and see if I can get something out of them.
Sure.
You know? So I think that's a really nice haul for the Lions. You know,
4th or 7th on an offensive line project for a running back that you would have probably cut anyways. I don't know if they would have cut him, but he would have been gone after this year anyways.
I mean, he's not the long-term plans.
Yes, I think that's really good business.
Yeah.
For Detroit, and it makes sense for Houston. I
get it for Houston too.
David Montgomery can play.
Give me somebody I can trust.
When I think it was Saturday maybe that the reports came out that the Lions were looking to deal him, or he had put in a trade request. Of course, you know, all my buddies in the group chat and things like that, and what do we think and this and that. And I was like, hey, I wouldn't hate to pair him with Jaylen Warren.
No, right.
And what would it take? Conversation comes out right away. And I was like, I'd probably give up a 5th-round pick.
That's about where I was at, too.
Steelers have 2 6-rounders. I'd definitely give up a 6th-round pick. And, I mean, you get a 4th, you get a 7th, and you get a
Makes you wonder if there are a handful of teams interested.
There must have been
Maybe Pittsburgh,
a viable project there at offensive line, too. So I think it makes a lot of sense for both teams.
I mean, again, as you mentioned, Houston needs to start with a running game, start from the ground up, because they're not going to move away from Stroud, so make his life easier. I want to talk about their O-line in a minute, though, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
But Montgomery gets a lot of yards on his own. I mean, he's one of the best after-contact runners over the last 5 years or so.
The last 3 years, he has over 2,500 rushing yards and 33 touchdowns.
Wow. Yeah.
In 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's like sharing the backfield with one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what they need. They're going to cut Mixon. That's an absolute foregone conclusion. But here's the weird part. Is 1 year ago, in 2024, they had one of the worst O-lines in the league. And 1 year ago, they cut Shaq Mason, who was maybe their best guard at the time, and traded Tunsil, who's one of the best left tackles in the league. So their line was a mess, and they traded their 2 veterans, and their logic was, well, they didn't say this, but they basically said, we just want, these guys kind of think their own way. We want to get younger in the O-line room. And they did draft some guys, but Tunsil's a stud, and Washington's thrilled to have him. So what do they do then? They trade Titus Howard to the Browns is the other move. They traded 2 offensive linemen today, despite having one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
So there has to be another shoe or two to drop here. You know, like, I'm sure they watched all those offensive linemen we talked about at the draft and said, boy, there's a lot of those we like. We think we can get one. Maybe it's a trade up. I don't know if they'll be there at 27 or where they pick. But there's even some people speculating, like, if Trent Williams and the Niners part ways,
could they bring
that's
him
where
in
he's
for a
ending
year?
up. Like, they must have something lined up, because you can't just. They've traded 4 offensive linemen in 2 years, basically.
Bad might be a little too strong, but it's a offensive line that certainly needs help.
Yeah, it's definitely their biggest need now. Now that they filled running back.
It's definitely their biggest need, and they just traded 2 guys, and they've traded, as you mentioned, multiple in the last couple of years.
Right? Yeah.
It's not a easy free agency position to go out and find people that can give you valuable.
I wonder if they have someone lined up in free agency or a trade or something like that. But I do want to mention the Browns, because I've said this 800 times.
They need offensive line help probably more than anybody in the NFL.
Other than Dawand Jones, who missed almost the entire year, all the year, they basically have no starting offensive lineman under contract. So Howard's not the next Joe Thomas or anything, but he's played a lot of guard and he's played a lot of right tackle.
And I think they said they want to use him at tackle.
Did they?
The Browns did.
I'd say they extended him as soon as they got him. Yep. I think he's most comfortable at tackle. He's a former first-round pick. But I'm sure people are still going to mock Freeling or Fano or one of those guys to them as well.
As they should.
And guards and centers, too. But it's a good starting point. At least he's going to be one of your starting 5 for sure.
And that's, hey, if you got him, if you got Dawand Jones, if you got a first-round pick in there, you can start to see the nest being built on that offensive line there. Matt, speaking of offensive linemen.
And they had the picks to give. They had a lot of picks.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Speaking of offensive linemen, the Chiefs have informed Jawan Taylor that he will be released before the start of the new year, barring a trade. That will save the Chiefs $20 million in cap space. Good player. Not a great player. Fine player.
A lot of penalties.
A lot of penalties, a lot of issues.
But he's a starting right tackle.
Those
guys don't grow in trees.
He's a starting tackle in the NFL, and those guys are always needed.
Yeah. They gave Jalen Moore almost the same deal as Dan Moore last offseason. There's another one people were like, wow, he's not really even a starter, but he'll be the right tackle. And then they drafted the Simmons kid out of Ohio State, who if he can stay in the field, might be one of the best left tackles in the league before long.
Yeah.
So they're fine there. Taylor's just not worth 20. I mean, he's like the poster boy for lining up way off the line of scrimmage on passing downs and moving early, but he'll be someone starting right tackle.
I would, yes, absolutely.
And they don't have a ton of cap space from what I gather, too. Like, they got to make some moves.
The Chiefs?
I mean, they do the Mahomes, go to the back of Mahomes.
Like, I think in theory they would have liked to keep Jawan Taylor, but he's the,
somebody's got to go.
He's the B+ student making valedictorian money,
Yeah.
And that's the difference there.
I mean, The Athletic put out a list today, and I think we've even seen it, of every team's likely cut candidate. He was the obvious one for them, and it sounds like Lattimore's just been informed by Washington that he's probably going to be let go. There's been the next couple of days. There's going to be a lot of names you guys have heard of, and mostly there's something wrong with them.
I was going to say
you probably don't want to necessarily jump on them, but they don't hurt your comp equation, which is big. These guys that get cut.
I already saw some of the social media aggregator accounts, the Sixburg Black and Gold accounts, tweeting about Lattimore. I'm good.
He was terrible with Washington.
He was terrible. He's 30. He's had a major injury late in the season. I'm good.
I want to do it. I've been down that road 3 years in a row.
I know it's a big name, and once upon a time he was great.
He was great.
That screams Darius Slay 2.0 to me.
Patrick Peterson.
All over again. Yeah.
Right. No, they gave up substantial draft picks to the Saints, and he's been bad every step of the way with Washington.
Yes. Bengals agreeing to an extension with Dalton Reisner, worth up to $5 million.
He's a quality guard.
He's fine, and
they
traded for him in season last year, didn't they? Or
he may have been a really late free agent. He might have been like a Asante Samuel-like free agent that was getting over an injury and
that sounds right. I knew it was a different type of situation, but
he definitely wasn't a Bengal this time last year.
No, he was not.
He had a good year for him.
He sure did, and they're another one who needs help in that department.
Yeah.
You mentioned former Pro Bowl corner Marshawn Lattimore will be released by the Commanders. That will save them $18.5 million in salary cap space. I think that's a no-brainer.
It's an easy one, right? It's just a bad trade, and
pretty easy one there.
Another noteworthy move is it's not official yet, but the Colts basically told Pierce, "You're not leaving."
Yes,
and I think Pittman very well could. I know Matt Taylor didn't agree with us, but I think he was wearing a little bit of blue and white colored glasses through that.
We're all guilty of that.
Oh, yeah.
You spend so much time.
He also said Richardson's not going anywhere, and I think Richardson's going somewhere too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We'll talk because we actually got some tweets about Pierce and Pittman and things like that we can talk about more in this hour. I guess last kind of news of the day, notable, Matt. The Vikings have informed both Aaron Jones and Javon Hargrave that they will be cut or traded in a move that, combining the two of them will save the team about $18.5 million in cap space.
They're tied up against it, too.
Both big names.
Yeah.
Both have had very good NFL careers.
They have.
But both are getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. Jones always has some kind of soft tissue injury, which is hard to count on. He's had a really good career. But he's going to play. I mean, he wasn't bad when he was on the field at all. I mean, if he's a number 2, okay. He's got another year or two, I bet, in him. Hargrave,
33, but did start 15 games last year.
Yeah, people don't remember, but he was drafted very old. He was like a 5 or 6 year college player, so he's a little older than you think. I'm going to look into him because I do think that's the type of nose the Steelers need. You're not going to – Casey Hamptons of the world aren't really a thing anymore, but kind of what Hargrave was at his best is what I'd love to see them get, and I don't think Benton's ever going to be quite nosy enough for that. But he didn't do much for the Vikings this year. He's also had some injuries and some age. But I do want to look into – I'm incomplete from me on him of what he is at this moment. I want to do a little more research because – maybe you come back here for $4 million or something,
Hey, if the price is
20 snaps,
the price is right.
Yeah.
He had the torn triceps in 2024.
Okay.
Signed a 2-year deal with the Vikings after that. That was when
pretty
he was
decent money though.
Yeah,
so he was marketable just a year ago.
That was when he was with the Niners.
Yeah.
Did start 15 out of 17 games last year at age 33. Pretty good, but 3.5 sacks. Not a massive kind of. And hey,
it was a big contract.
It was a big contract, and he's another one, man, who had some great years here in Pittsburgh and
with the Eagles.
Philadelphia, and with the Niners too.
That's what I'm saying. Like just 1 year ago, he was very marketable. I mean, like no one batted an eye when they signed that deal.
I still remember when he signed with the Eagles. I went on with the old show that I produced, and I was like, "You guys are gonna love this guy." Like, he's gonna keep his head down and come to work, and he doesn't make any noise, and he's not, flashy, but my goodness, he's so good.
He is good.
And he was a big part of the Eagles, and that just what they seemingly always have, some just monsters there on that defensive line.
He's a guy that Dale and I often said was the most recent Steeler free agent that they would have loved to have kept. But Tuitt and Hayward were making too much money, and Ben was there at the time and just couldn't,
Yes. So that's your news of the day, ladies and
gentlemen. There's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff popping up.
But there's going to, we've been doing a news of the day segment pretty much every day since Mike Tomlin resigned.
And I bet we will for 3 weeks.
And I bet we will continue to here through most of the month of March, because obviously we have free agency stuff with that trades and cap cuts and all that.
Handful of these teams still are not cap compliant.
Absolutely. And, Matt, at the end of the month, we've got the owners' meetings, the league meetings, and there's always rule change stuff that comes from that. So we'll have some news of the day, like, well, the tush push last year was 2 votes short of being banned.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will be on the docket again here at the end of the month.
I think it was 2 years ago they changed the kickoff rules.
Changing the kickoff rules, all that kind of stuff. Could we see game day rosters expanded? All these different kinds of things. We've seen practice squads expanded in the not so distant or not so.
And a lot of people talk
recent,
at the owners' meetings.
More
too.
recent future.
Every coach speaks, and so there'll be a lot of stuff coming out of that.
Well, there absolutely will be. So we're going to take a break here. I want
the
some
one
more.
thing I wish we could comment on now, which is kind of harsh, but I wish I knew whose medicals didn't go so well this last weekend. You usually have to learn on draft day, basically, like, boy, I thought he was going to be a second rounder. He went in the fifth. Like,
and then someone is like, well, that makes
was a medical.
That makes sense there.
I wish
certainly.
we knew those things earlier.
Some more thoughts ahead of free agency, some final thoughts from Indianapolis. We'll start to get to some tweets as well as we roll along here in hour number 2. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Rolling along here on The Drive on this Monday. Plenty of combine talk, some free agency thoughts, moving and shaking around the league. We're going to get to some tweets here soon. But Matt, we did briefly mention, but man, Jeremiah Love had himself a big-time Saturday. And I think now, I would have probably been surprised if he made it out of the top 10 heading into the combine.
Yes.
But now it feels like he is got to be really liking his chances to be taken there in the first few picks.
I think he's a really good chance he's the best player in the draft. Just regardless position, just putting a grade on dudes. He's the type of guy that could have done nothing. It wouldn't have hurt his stock at all if he decided, I'm not going to work out for anybody anytime.
I can only hurt myself here.
Right.
Yeah.
I can only kind of go backwards at this point. No one's even nipping on my heels to be running back 2. And some of those other running backs had good workouts, but no one's touching him. And I don't think anyone else is even probably going to go in the top 2 rounds. How early could he go? I don't know the draft order off the top of my head. He won't go the Jets. I'd be shocked if the Cardinals go that early, but maybe Tennessee. I mean, the Browns won't be.
No. Tennessee 4, Giants 5, Browns 6, Commanders 7.
Commanders?
Maybe.
I mean, put him with Daniels.
Saints at 8, Chiefs at 9.
Those are the 2 he gets mocked to the most. Like, I can't imagine he gets past the Chiefs.
I would be shocked, and I don't even know if the Bengals would be interested in taking him at 10 because they have so many other needs.
But boy, that offense would be loaded with that guy.
But I would be shocked if he made it past Kansas City and or Cincinnati.
Nobody trades up for running backs nowadays, but could someone at 11 or 12 go to 7? Just to get ahead of like the Saints?
Dolphins, no.
No, they're going to extend a chance.
Cowboys?
They just gave Javonte Williams money.
Rams at 13.
Doubtful.
Ravens at 14. Doubtful. Although, doubtful. 15, Bucks. 16, Jets. I don't know. Lions aren't going to do it. Vikings aren't going to do it. So I think maybe
Vikings won't move up.
Washington, New Orleans, Kansas City.
I'd
Cincinnati.
consider it if I was Tennessee. They have so many other needs too, but they have the most cap space in the league. They're going to fill a lot.
Yeah.
They're not going to sign a running back, I'm sure.
And maybe, say Tennessee goes out and gets someone like Devin Lloyd for their defense.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they add another piece on offense, and we're like,
they could have one of the big receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Throw a stud running back in the mix there.
I'm not usually big on investing in running backs. I'm not saying like running backs don't matter or you're stupid if you take one in the top 10, because there are people that believe it that strong. But when I condone it the most is when it's going to help my young quarterback.
Absolutely.
If it's going to help Shuck, if it's going to help Ward,
Obviously, Ashton Genty didn't have the year last year that everybody thought he was going to have for a million different reasons that were out of his control.
Yeah, I don't blame him for much of that.
But I still think even a year out, you're still excited of like, okay, we're going to drop Mendoza in there.
I'm glad he's there.
He's got a running back. He's got a really good tight end.
Especially one that can catch the ball.
If we can get him this offensive line moving in the right direction, all of a sudden he's going to have some pieces to work with off the jump here.
Yeah, I just think it's a really nice. It's got to be a good feeling as a young, inexperienced quarterback that if I just give this guy the ball, he's going to do something with it. He might break a big play. When I don't know what to do, I just dump it off to him. Yep. I mean, I get easy completions with this guy. We get manufacture first downs, unlike most running backs in the league. And you mentioned Genty, and I forgot that I can't remember if it was on the air or if it was just when we were talking before. But Greg Cosell's like, I really liked Genty last year, but he's like, loves way better prospect, way better. He's like,
wow,
Bijan, like as good as I've seen type prospect. Like, wow, okay.
Hey, if he says it, he means it.
Yeah, yeah.
If he says it, he means it. So I'll take his word for it. He's one of the I think kind of real X factors in this equation. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. The other person I wanted to talk to you about from Saturday was Carnell Tate, of course, Ohio State wide receiver. Didn't have the greatest testing day.
No.
But I don't think it's going to kill him. I think there's still a really good chance he'll be wide receiver.
Did he run like a 4.53 or something like that?
He did, yes. But right in the same range as CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen.
I'm glad you laid it out that way, because that's kind of where I was going to go, too. Like, if you told me 2 years ago that somebody like Carnell Tate goes to the combine and runs a 4.53, like, that's fine. Speed's vastly overrated. He's not a burner. Frankly, we know he's going to go to Ohio State's pro day
and run a fast track.
And it'll be a little bit better.
On that
I can promise you that.
39-yard track you always talk about in Columbus.
If he can just make it look like a 4.49, which really isn't much different, but just the eye appeals a little better, I don't think it'll hurt him at all.
Wide receiver, arrow up, arrow down. Arrow up on Ted Hurst, arrow down on Malachi Fields?
Yes and no. Definitely on Hurst.
Dude.
And Lance.
Hurst might not last till day 3 now.
I don't think. I think Lance and Hurst are two small school guys that are real legit, that probably could have played a lot of different places, just stuck where they did because they, loyalty, that are big, fast, downfield guys, and they play that way. There's a lot of people stock downing Fields, and I never thought he was super explosive or burner, but I'm a little bit of a nerd. He had the best 3-cone of all of them.
He did.
And that's
a big deal.
Lot like Smith and Jigba and some of these guys. Like, I'd rather nobody runs 3-cones, so having the best, there's not as many people that do it, but still his time was quite good in the 3-cone. That's hard for a 6'3", 6'4" human being. That's a short guy drill,
He's one of those ones, if he wants to hang around till day 2 and be an option for the Steelers, I'm just fine with that.
Yeah, in the 50-ish neighborhood, yeah.
Matt, there's always a name at the combine, particularly on Saturdays now when it's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, the prom king positions, right? That we didn't even really mention or maybe did just once or so heading into the process that starts to get on everybody's radar. For me, that's Cincinnati wide receiver Jeff Caldwell.
It's a good one.
6'5", 215, ran a 4.31, a split of 1.48. I mean, the best of anyone
Super
on Saturday.
Athlete, yeah.
42 inches on the vertical. I mean, insanely athletic, insanely fast, and at 6'5", 215.
Yes.
That could work.
So I mentioned I was listening to Dane's first podcast post-combine, and of course he knew who he was, but I wouldn't get too excited about him, like take him in the second round just because of his numbers. At least this was Dane's thoughts on him combine was, he'll probably get drafted. but wasn't even 1,000% certain. And now he's definitely going to get drafted, but 5th roundish.
Sure.
But he's the perfect guy that we've talked about is that last piece of the puzzle.
Free agent, first or second rounder.
And him.
Bang.
Yeah, and coach him up.
Coach him up.
Yeah.
Give him a year on special teams. Use that big frame, run down the field, knock people around, and
see what happens.
Make a couple plays and grow and develop. Absolutely. And then, Matt, most of what I think the real draftniks, the real talent evaluators of this process thought that Ty Simpson helped his stock over the weekend.
He threw the best of everyone and really looked apart. And I do think he's finally healthy. I don't know if he's for me or for the Steelers and all that good stuff,
sure.
But I think he's going to go in the first round. Back half of it. The Jets, I think, picked 17 with their second choice. I think that's the earliest he could go. He feels a lot like Dart.
16.
16? Okay.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're right there.
Yeah. Feels a lot like Dart a year ago where one of those teams that are bad moves up from the second round to 26 to get him and get the 5th-year option. Steelers will highly consider him. They definitely did look at quarterbacks heavily, and that was no secret. A lot of the guys that went to the podium mentioned the Steelers, I guess. I haven't done the podium stuff. But I think he's helping himself during this process. But I told people he would. Because the last time we saw him play football wasn't so great, and he wasn't healthy. But he's the son of a coach's kid. Everyone says his interviews are going to be phenomenal. And he's going to throw the ball way better now than he did at the end of his season. Which he did.
Sure.
Mendoza didn't throw, but I guess he had the best throw. Consensus was the best passer in drills in Indy.
According to McShay, Ty Simpson faces legitimate concerns such as his non-prototype frame, durability questions, and inexperience, as we've talked about, just 15 starts in his college career. That combination makes teams uneasy, but overall the sentiment coming out of Indy, he helped himself.
Yes. Okay. That's good.
Feels like he, continuing to check the boxes and everything throughout the rest of this process, is going to be a first-rounder.
I would think, because he's a quarterback.
In the Jackson Dart range.
Yeah.
In that
and
Jackson
maybe he's
Dart
the home run. And who knows? I think I'd still wait till next year.
I would too. And maybe if it's different if by the time the draft rolls around, Aaron Rodgers is in place, and you're like, we can stash this guy for a year. We can let him learn from one of the all-time greats. But
you may have a lot of needs fixed, as we already talked about. And,
that I think is the only route that I would convince myself on Ty Simpson.
I would love him to be in the same room with Rodgers for a year.
If I'm the Rams and I can get him and let him sit behind Stafford for a year, sign me up.
Yeah.
But there's not many of those situations around the league right now.
No, I think it'd be really good for him.
Like Pittsburgh, L.A. I don't know who else has that veteran
for the
quarterback
successor,
that's going to be there for 1 year type thing.
Right, yeah.
But someone's going to continue to fall in love with him. Someone's going to take him because everyone, it's a position of need.
What would worry me is a team like the Jets or the Browns move up from early second, grab them, and just ruin them and throw them right in and don't block for them
We have seen that fish before.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
We have seen that fish before. And then you talked about how it feels like a fast track, how you and I were like, these guys are so specialized now. Everyone is spending months training for this. Position groups were historically fast, Matt.
Crazy.
Defensive backs, average 40 time was 4.44 seconds, best of all time.
The safeties in particular were crazy. There was no slow safeties.
Best of all time.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, average 4.44 seconds, best of all time. Running backs, 4.45 seconds, best of all time. Linebackers, 4.55 seconds. The average time for an off-ball linebacker, first all time.
That really stood out to me. Linebackers and safeties
these
never used to run like that.
Move.
Right.
Can move. And not just like Sonny Styles from Ohio State and some of these top guys that we've talked about.
They're not even close to being alone. There's a million of them.
Quarterback 40 times, 4.6, second fastest all time. Tight end 40 times, 4.63, first all time. Defensive line.
Sadiq's running like 4.3s. Yeah.
Sadiq's running a 4.39. This monster tight end. Imagine that guy coming at you. Good Lord. Defensive line.
The Vandy guys jumping 45. Did you catch this? I'm sorry. But
no, you're fine.
Sadiq set the tight end vertical record.
And then Stowers broke it, right?
And then there was somebody in between, because they do them alphabetically.
Yeah.
There was some jabroni in between them who did whatever, and then Stowers broke it like 45 seconds later.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Defensive line, fastest of all time, 4.83 seconds. Offensive line, fastest of all time, 5.1 seconds.
There's no like 5.6s anymore on the O-line. There's no fat guys.
Every position group had their best 40 aggregate combined average all time, except for quarterbacks, and they were second. That's ridiculous.
Now, we know everyone's getting faster, better trained. That's just evolution. And I do think that track is faster than it used to be because like 2 or 3 years ago, they said they changed the turf. Not necessarily for that reason. They changed it for the Colts, not for the Combine.
Sure.
But it is considered a faster surface than it was 10 years ago or whatever. But also, the slow guys aren't running. I mean, when all
that part really makes sense.
Yeah.
They're gonna cut some weight and run at their pro day or whatever they have to do.
More comfortable or want to train more for it. I don't know, but the slow guys aren't running. But I think they should all run there because it's a fast track.
Either there or Ohio State.
Yeah.
A couple more takeaways before we get to our last break and get to some tweets before we get out of here. Florida defensive lineman Caleb Banks, 85 and 3/4 inch wingspan, longest by a defensive tackle in 25 years. He also ran a 5.04 40 at 327 pounds.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd be there at 21.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he's the 1D tackle.
I think he's DT1 now, and I think he will go off the board in the first 20 picks.
I do too.
Sonny Styles, 43.5 inch vertical, best by a linebacker since 2003. Kenyon Sadiq broke the 40-yard dash record, 4.39 seconds, actually held by Doran Dickerson of Pitt, of this parish for a long time.
West A.
West A, baby. Palco U there at West A.
That's why I ended up going to Pitt. It was the Palco connection. Back in my day.
He actually told me a hilarious story one time because his final 3 schools were Pete Carroll's USC, Urban Meyer's Florida, and Dave Wanstadt's Pitt.
Really? Okay.
And
it was right after I left.
He went to tell Dave Wanstadt that he wanted to take visits to Florida and to USC. And Dave Wanstadt is like eating a steak and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, you come here. I promise you're going to be able to go to California and Florida anytime you want. You're going to make good money. All right. You go to those places. You go to those places for vacations, not to develop as a football player." He gave me this this is where you're from. Like, you could go to California and Florida and visit anytime you want.
And that hooked him?
That hooked him.
Okay.
I got him. He was like, "All right, coach. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm going to stay here." But yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Love, 4.36.
I don't know if you caught it, but
unbelievable.
His dad's really tight with him and has been a driving factor. And his dad was upset with that number, not because he was like, "Sonny boy, you're not, living up to expectations." Yeah. He's just because he knew Love wouldn't be happy with it. Which
is hilarious that a running back of his size is not happy with a sub 4.4 time.
Yeah, because he ran a second time because he was disenchanted with the first one, and some people say he might run at Notre Dame because he can do it faster.
He thinks he can do it faster.
He's just that competitive.
Hey, that's the type of guy you want.
Right,
That's what you like to hear. Let's close this thing down, today's show, with some of your tweets, some of your questions, comments, concerns, reactions on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on this Monday, final segment of the day. You know what that means. It is time to close things down with some of your tweets. Matt, Michael Adesso, one of our P1s here.
Loyal listener, yeah.
Loyalist,
I'm sure he's
regular,
tuning in.
Real friend of the show, friend in real life out at training camp.
Yeah, met him at camp. That's cool.
Draft scenario question. Pick 9, Sonny Styles is still available. Would you consider trading up to get him a bonus? You'd be jumping Cincinnati and keeping him away from them too.
I would love to get that guy no matter what. I think he's a total superstar. He's one of the – I always do the – if I had to put a chip down on one player from this draft –
To go to
Canton, he would definitely be in strong consideration.
We'll
definitely do that.
Let's do that exercise
we'll do
at some
that
point.
like a week before the draft.
Yeah.
But he would be high on that list. And that's a lovely thought, Michael. But I bet to get that far up, it costs you a 1 and a 2. Not a 1 and a 3. That's not a 5-spot Broderick Jones move or future day 2 pick that I don't want to get rid of. And really, to make it work, I would then be looking to trade Queen. And I kind of would rather just roll it back because I'm excited to see Queen in this defense, healthy, used a little differently. But linebacker's somewhat of an underrated need, too. I mean, you really only have him and Wilson on the team at the moment. And if Queen's going to leave after the season, it'd be awesome to have Styles. I just don't know how feasible that is. Plus, I think he could go like 6 overall.
Yeah. So, in theory, I would love to have him. I don't know I would want to pay what it would cost to get him when you've already got needs on defense that are greater than linebacker, I think.
Right.
And plenty of mouths to feed on offense, too.
The agency would have had to lined up perfectly, too.
I love the player.
Right.
But I just think it's going to be an expensive cost to get him.
Who would you rather trade up for, Styles or Downs?
Ooh. I think I'm going to go Downs.
Like, I guess it's not even trade up.
Now,
if I could give you one out of the sky, who would you rather have?
Oh, man.
I think I'd take Downs.
I think I'd take Downs.
There's so much lighter there.
But I will say both of those position groups feels like there's a lot of good options.
There are. And you don't have to be incredible there. But hey, I think it's nice to have Polamalu too. Right? Or Lambert.
A lot of the people that you and I talked to this week have Downs #1 on their big boards.
Mm-hmm.
I
think Dane does, and he's not farther than 2 or 3 for anybody.
I'd be very happy with either. I would trade pick 21 for either right now,
of course,
without question.
Yeah,
I think I'd give a slight edge to Downs though.
Me
Jake
too.
tweets and says, "Did Taylon Green do enough to pique your interest this weekend?" We mentioned him earlier. He had a really good weekend.
Insane weekend.
He is a athletic freak.
I mean, set like one of the best combines in quarterback history.
Mm-hmm.
It's like him and Richardson neck and neck, except he's 6'6.5" or whatever. He's going to go high.
I've been talking to you about him since September in the around campus stuff because he has everything you can't coach.
And I didn't watch a ton of them on Saturdays during the season, but I did watch all the Senior Bowl stuff. And there's a handful of times where he just takes off, and his stride length is like the 5-yard markers are like gone, and he just like
he looks like he looks like some of those like 6'10" basketball small forwards who could take 2 steps from midcourt and dunk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? 3 big leaps and they're down the court after getting a rebound.
Yes.
Like, the Greek Freak or somebody like that.
Exactly right.
Now, he also is very long-armed, which people think is a good thing, but that's part of his problem because his release is kind of all over the place. He needs so much work. So I've done more work on him since his combine. And as you can imagine, accuracy and decision-making, which probably are the 2 most important things in a quarterback, like you have to have them or you can't play the position, are his biggest weaknesses.
Yes.
I mean, but he definitely has things you can't coach. I bet he goes to the end of the 3rd round to like the Rams or somebody like that just sits on him for a while. And everyone's already being like, well, he could always switch positions. Yes, but I don't know that he wants to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's put a lot of time into quarterback.
Just switch positions, I'd rather just go draft somebody that played that position all throughout college.
Yeah, right. It doesn't mean he's a good receiver. I mean, he's never run a route in his life, as far as I know. I don't like that fallback. It's mine.
Just because Terrell Pryor did it one time and had a 1,000-yard receiving season doesn't mean that that's normal or a lot of people can do that.
Or it's a great plan.
Yeah.
Now, if you drafted him, like if the Steelers took him in the 3rd round, I'd love to have him active on game day and have a package for him or be your tush-push guy at a minimum or whatever. Get his jersey dirty some way. But that kind of stuff is – if you think he can develop him into a quarterback, it's worth a pick. But I bet he goes late 3rd round. Like a Joe Milton or,
I think you're right. Like I think
a little more impressive than
think
Milton.
he could certainly go at the end of day 2, if not early on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just – again, I mean, I've been talking about this guy in the Around Campus segment since September.
Oh, yeah.
But as a Will Howard draft range interest, if he's going in the 3rd or 4th round, too rich for my blood.
I'm not using 3rd on him.
No.
Not for the Steelers.
If the 6th round rolls around and you have those 2 picks and he's still there, absolutely sign me up. But
or use them both to trade up to the end of the 5th or something. Fine.
Fine.
If I already drafted 2 receivers and 2 safeties and a lineman, and yeah.
But he's a guy that I really think there's potential there, but I'm not giving up high draft pick for as much as I am very intrigued by the skill set and have been for a few months.
A year away from being a year away, but in 3 years he might be Willis.
Yeah,
he easily could be Willis, right?
Lou tweets and says, at pick 21, You have a defensive lineman, offensive tackle, offensive guard, safety, and wide receiver all with the same grade. Which position would you take?
Oh, boy.
It's a good question, Lou.
Well, tackles are the hardest to find.
They are.
So I would not take a guard.
I can eliminate guard, definitely.
Yeah. And I don't think you can, just by the nature of his question, I can't be like, well, this is super deep safety draft, this is super deep receiver draft, so I'm going to eliminate them. I think you just take prospect X with this grade on them.
I think I get wide receiver.
I probably would too.
You
need a guy, yeah.
You need more dynamic playmakers on that offense.
And next year's first round pick would say thank you. You know what I mean? You got to think about that guy.
Continue to build the nest.
Yeah.
Something we touched on a little bit, Matt, but we could talk about for a few minutes more here. Ian tweets and says, welcome back to the Berg, gentlemen. Thank you for all the content from Indy. With Alec Pierce now likely to get tagged, is Dobbs the most likely desirable free agent wide receiver for the Steelers to target?
Yes, but two more names that kept coming up. Dobbs, to me, is probably my favorite for what he'll likely cost, and you'll probably overspend a little, but that's day one of free agency no matter what. I immediately wanted nothing to do with Wan'Dale Robinson because he's tiny. But he's coming off a really good year, and talking through Mike McCarthy's passing game philosophies, Wan'Dale Robinson would be useful. It's a lot of quick hitters, get first down, move the chains, pure slot, and he's a better player than he looks. That prototype doesn't do a lot for me, but
you've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. But I do understand two big guys on the outside and him as a chain mover is of interest. And the other one that Pursuta jumped out of his skin, but Rob brought him up 2 or 3 times, kind of like, why does Rob keep bringing up Jalen Naylor?
Yeah.
Steelers just signed an offensive coach from their staff. I think they're going to extend Addison. Jefferson's not going anywhere.
Can't pay 3 wide receivers big money.
Naylor's a lot better than you think. And Pursuta loved him because he's Michigan State dude, but he's like...
I was going to say jumped out of his skin in excitement.
He would be a really good 3. And the more I looked into him, I immediately thought, he's not good enough. But if that was their free agent signing, I'd be like, okay, I'm still looking for a round 1 guy probably. But they would have killed for Jalen Naylor last year.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I mean, yeah. He's smart and downfield dude, fast. Speedy Naylor, I think his name was his nickname. Right.
He's one that I would certainly be interested in, especially again
I don't think if you're crazy expensive.
If you're gonna go out and you're gonna draft the more prototype body type. Get your X and your Z. He could be your Y type. I'm
with
interested.
Boston.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, I mean now you got a real receiving core.
Very interested. Speaking of wide receivers, John tweets us, after the combine, what are your thoughts on Jacoby Lane? He's kind of the other USC wide receiver besides Mekhi Lemon.
I think he's the perfect example of media fans get too excited about what happened in Indy because he had a really good workout, but his tape, he still gets pushed around he does not play strong at all.
Okay.
He's very linear, he's very lean, and he gets misguided through his routes a bunch. Press coverage beats the crap out of him, and he's not a sharp route runner, even though he's a good athlete. There's stuff to work with there, but I wouldn't double count him. And everyone knew he's a good athlete that went to USC.
Sure.
But he's not a good receiver yet, you know?
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, couple quick hitters here as we wrap this thing up. Brad tweets us and says, have you guys done a segment on the Steelers free agents and whether you would want to re-sign them or let them walk? If so, please point me towards that episode. If not, how about having that
we should
conversation?
Do one this week.
We did that conversation, but it was like a month ago.
Yeah.
We will do that again this week before free agency
might have had
opens.
some thoughts change a little, but we should do a big beefy segment of all the offensive guys, big beefy segment on all the defensive guys soon, Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give people plenty of time to listen.
I'm with you on that.
Before Monday.
I'm with you on that. T-Mac tweets and says, if Kyler Murray gets released, any interest for the Steelers?
Yeah, but it's a real fallback plan. I mean, like, would not be priority number 1. Of all the quarterbacks that could move, I think he's the one that's most likely to rejuvenate his career. But that
I would agree with that.
I mean, like to be the next Mayfield, Daniel Jones.
I just think of all those body types, and I'm doing the typecast thing here, but like Drew Brees is the only one who's going to Canton,
and Brees is noticeably bigger.
Yeah,
and was a tennis player,
like,
a little thicker.
A lot of these undersized guys, they have success in spurts, but it's just never as consistent as you want them to be. Baker Mayfield, you know?
So a big thing about Kyler is I think his athleticism has definitely dropped, which you knew it would.
Sure.
I mean, he was a crazy athlete.
Oh, my gosh.
And, he was jitterbug.
Baseball top 10 pick, all that stuff.
Like most short quarterbacks, really struggles from the middle of the field. But he's always been a really, really good deep thrower. But this last year or two, his deep numbers are horrendous. Horrendous. And maybe it's the system he's in. But, I mean, he had Harrison and Wilson and McBride. I mean, weren't that bad.
It gives me more pause.
Yeah. I mean, that used to be a saving grace is crowd line of scrimmage, he's going to beat you over the top at least because he's not going to be in the middle of the field. Well, that's really fallen off.
Last one. SR94 tweets, random, but if you were the Philadelphia Eagles, would you trade your 23rd overall pick for Max Crosby?
Yeah.
It's not random. We like these kind of questions. Yes.
Schefter or Palacero or one of those guys today said Max Crosby very well could get traded in the next couple of days and mentioned Eagles, Niners, Patriots.
If you're the Eagles, it's window open season. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
And why would you shy away from that now? And
if I was the Patriots, I'd be very excited.
31st pick?
Plus.
Of course.
Yeah.
23rd might get it done if you throw in like a 2027 fifth rounder. Or something.
Yeah.
31, you're going to need a little more juice, but tell you what, I'm sure Mad Max would be happy to land at either of those places too.
Yeah, those are great spots for him.
Matt, tomorrow on the show, let's dig deeper into the safety conversation.
Yeah.
Both the free agency class and the draft class.
It's a much bigger need than it looks on the surface.
And let's go over some newer cut candidates here this week as we get close to free agency and the negotiating period about a week from now. But that will do it for us for today. Thanks to Justin on the ones and twos, Mr. TV on the video side of things. The guy who took 7,000 pounds of equipment to Indianapolis and back and lived to tell the tale.
We filled an F-150 full of basically gear.
We, as in we.
Right.
I told all those other, all of our other Steelers media video buddies, Nate and Alec and all those guys who I love.
Great dudes. I had a good time with those guys.
Yeah, I told them though they're on my naughty list because I wasn't going to leave TV hanging to all this video equipment himself.
Something out with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, when we submit our next invoices, Matt, I might have to bill the Steelers for a couple hours of video production in there too. Big shout out to TV for the great work all week, and as always, Justin with us here this week. We're going to have some fun. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.